Hey guys, I just wanted to make kind of like a quick maintenance video review. Additionally, I am having a leaking issue. I'm gonna try and get this on. I know there's a train, but it is, oops, sorry. It is minorly leaking down the barrel. Now I think it's either, so I just pushed the tack back towards the bolt and it completely stopped the leak. Now I've talked to Connor and a little bit about this. Connor believes that it's because the free flow bolt is. Wow, the free flow bolt is minorly thinner in the diameter of the walls, which is entirely possible. So he told me to try switching out the two O-rings on his kit for the two stock ones, see if that works any better. But honestly, he really just kind of recommended that I run the stock bolt. I unfortunately didn't get to test the stock bolt when I was running all of those tests, so I didn't get to see the consistency, but the consistency with the free flow bolt was better than the method one. It was significantly tighter. So Connor said that the stock one would probably be the most efficient. Also, super side note, the Slaps 2, I think, is actually a downgrade. I've never actually encountered one of the Dye Slaps guns, but I ironically was holding a DLS, and that had, I think, the best version of the Slaps ASA as far as the action of it goes. And I think this is a really stupid issue to have. Like when I go to put my tank on, this just like falls down. So like I don't like that, and I can't screw the tank on, so you have to push the pin in so that it stays lifted. Anyway, so I just wanted to make a quick video of this because, like I said, I'm having that minor leaking issue. I wanted to change the couple of O-rings, just do a quick maintenance video on this as well. This is, of course, the drivetrain, the ARC X drivetrain. I wonder where the leaking is coming from. He said it could either be coming around the barrel, the can, which he said was probably, not as likely as, of course, not as likely as it would be leaking from the 13 or 17. If it's leaking down the barrel, he said those would be the ones that would be leaking first. So I already did change the 13 out, and then I intend on also looking to change out the 17. Take that out gently. This looks as seated as it possibly can be. Another user told me that the U-cup O-ring was causing him issues. Now, I think that the U-cup was also causing me issues as well because it wasn't seated last time. I think that was causing me some problems. In terms of the bolt, just need to pick up the stock one and the... it's funny, it does feel a little bit thinner. I'm gonna try running double stock O-ring because I really do just. I want the free flow bolt to work. I don't know that it will. I just want it to. Yeah, that's the orange one. This is also ironically the only O-ring that I forgot to check. I feel like I should have checked it. See any damage? Like I said, I think I'm gonna just try this. I want to see if I really want the free flow bolt to work. So, and it's also entirely possible that it's not more consistent than the stock bolt. But I need the free flow bolt to be working perfectly before I at least can make that decision. Just get it fed into the channel. To be honest, yeah, might fit a little bit better. And otherwise, I'm just going to be reverting it back to stock entirely, and then with Connor's kit. If I run into more issues with the U-Cup, I'm going to remove that. Now, this is for the drive. I did already disassemble it. If you have Connor's kit, you have to side load the guide out of the kit because of the thicker O-ring here. And then, the entire assembly comes out. You don't need to take these apart and take this off. All of your O-rings are accessible here. And then your other O-rings are going to be outside here on the back cam. You have one here, one inside there, one inside there, and then one outside here. And then you have the two O-rings on your bolt. One on the outside on the sail, and then the one on the inside. So you just want to make sure all of this is going to be properly lubricated. What I typically like to do is start from the front and then go to the back. What I'm going to do is just get the inside, usually go into each window, give a dab. All right, so dab on each window, and then I'm going to take my finger from the inside, and then I'm just going to rotate it in. Make sure that's nice and lubricated. Same thing I'm going to do for the inside one here. One of the users said that apparently this drive likes to be super wet, so I'm going to try and make it super greasy and super wet. Now they said like the R5, but I don't really keep my R5 super wet or greasy, so yeah. I guess to each their own in that regard. I'll just make sure to get a lot of it in there. It's pretty well greased. And then we're going to do the bolt next. And a couple on the inside, a little bit. Pinky in. Just going to touch down. And then start rotating, and then start more pressure as you're rotating. Just to get a nice smooth coating, which it is, beautiful. I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to rotate on the outside. Just make sure there's a nice smooth coating. Use some of the excess from my pinky. All right, now the bolt is greased. So we're going to take that and push it through the front of the can. Okay. definitely feels a lot thicker. Almost stickier. Oh, there it goes. All right. Honestly, definitely feels a lot tighter, that's for sure. And take all this grease off of the bolt tip. You don't want that in the front of your gun. You don't want it touching your paint. Don't have to wipe it off, but you know. This is all relatively new grease because I did just do this maintenance not too long ago. And then I'm gonna just start lubing all of the O-rings. I just kind of get them all and then I do them all at the same time. Start from the back and then work my way up to the front. Drop the guy down. 13. I'm gonna try the wet method. Make sure it's properly in the hole. Let me get the guide in. First one. Get the guide in. All right, and now with Connor's kit, you do have some compression as the thicker. See, now I'm having like second guesses because of the last problem I had with the spring, but no, everything's good. Okay, now the O-ring's set, so much easier to take off. So now what the thing is with Connor's kit, with the O-ring, once it's set, and that doesn't feel good, I'll be the first to admit that. It just sits in there. It doesn't pop out when you take this apart. So, and being as careful as possible to keep the bumpers dry. So I'm just gonna wipe those off and then reset this back on. Now I'm gonna wait to do the outside ones until I'm going to put that back in the gun. Right now what I want to do is, let's see, I think I'm gonna go in through the bottom. Oops, sorry for bumping again, terrible. I think I'm gonna go in through the bottom here. Good Lord. Okay. Toss this back in here. Remove the grips, move the batteries. You do not have to take this off at all, at least that I've seen. There's nothing that's keeping it there. So, or there's nothing that you need to remove to get to for that. Figure we'll start from the bottom and then we'll work our way up. So I'm gonna go ahead and just remove the grips. You start from the bottom corner on each side, get it out of the channel, and then remove the tabs. Remove the tabs, then you pull backwards. Okay. All right, and now for the ASA, I guess we'll start here. Whoa. All right. Sorry, still getting used to this. It is not the blue one, it's the red one. I knew that. So it's your red wrench. You're just going to remove the screw on each side here at the bottom of the grip frame. Then you're going to start to gently pull. Now there is an O-ring up here that keeps the seal. So that's why you just want to be careful. Gently pull, and you can kind of just wiggle it down gently. And then it will start to release. And you're going to pull that out. Now for this, I have always, except one time, required wrenches. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's an 11. I'm correct, it's an 11. You're just gonna get your 11, you're gonna rotate that off. You can use a wrench or a socket, however you'd like. You're gonna have your spring and your piston up in the chamber here, and you're going to have this top hat. So we'll start at the top portion. You don't require pliers, just grab them with your finger, start to wiggle it till it kind of breaks its seal, and then pull at the same time. Doesn't help that my fingers are greased. Take the non-greased fingers, grab the piston, and just gently pull. There's an O-ring in here that you just want to make sure is greased at the top. That's what keeps the seal here in the grip frame. And then of course you're going to grease the piston O-ring. Make sure that that's in good condition. Generally want to keep these in all great condition. Make sure there's no nicks or breaks anywhere. You can just pull this top hat out. It's kept in with an O-ring. So there's an O-ring on the outside of the top hat, and there's an O-ring on the inside of the top hat. And then down in here is where you're going to find your velocity and the rest of the components to your HPR. And then you're just going to twist that to the minus side, and that's going to raise it out. And then once you have it unthreaded, you can push, because it is kept in place with an O-ring, which is completely shredded. So I'm going to change that O-ring out. So you can't see O-ring in there, but this is definitely cooked, so I'm changing that out for certain. And you know what's funny is I wasn't going to do this part of the maintenance because I did more recently do a breakdown of the reg, but I didn't get this far into it. I just kind of stopped. I didn't think there would be any issues down here, to be honest, which, you know, you should never assume. But this O-ring is not in good shape. It's actually sliced. Must be a thread on the inside that's did a number to that. I really hope I have. One second. Oh wait, I have that bag with me. I don't think I have that over. I need the rebuild kit, don't I? I think I'm cooked, guys. Gonna have to buy the rebuild kit because that is kind of crazy. There's a whole slice in that. Can't tell if I should leave it or not, or rip it out. I don't want that flowing through my gun. I'm just gonna rip it off. Hope that the seal's still. Which way should I put it? I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, that way. Yeah, I don't have another one of these. I'm gonna have to buy the rebuild kit and then get this changed out. Oh, is it even like worth putting back in, honestly? I wish I could flip it, like rotate it, so that it would be on the inside, but of course it's on the outside. I'm just gonna grease that as well as I possibly can. Before we do that and start reassembling the gun, in case any of you guys were wondering how to remove this, there is a very little tab in there. Right there, you see that little black tab with the downward facing triangle? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pop this out all the way, slide it all the way forward. You're gonna get something tiny in there, and then you're gonna have to leverage it down. Now with these brass ones, it's not the easiest. There's one that is easier to work with. It's this red one because of the angle. Okay, and then you just push down. Once you hear that click, you can slide this all the way forward. This is the mechanism that holds it in place. And then what you're going to do to reassemble this portion, this did get me for a little while, get it all the way lined up to the front, and then just click it back on. And now you're locked back in place. That little tab pops back in. Now we're just gonna go through the reassembly. We're gonna start at the bottom and then just work our way all the way up. Make sure this is more than properly greased. I'm just gonna over grease this a little bit, to be honest, because of the tears. So I'm just gonna try and make sure it's like really fed in there. And then the way that I like to do this is insert the velocity wrench up through here, the Allen, and come down. Now you do need to apply a little bit of pressure to get it back in. Maybe I'm mistaken. I think it was just stuck. That's why it shredded the O-ring. I think it was just screwed onto itself. No pressure. I'm just holding it just so I can get it threaded on properly without cross-threading it. And then you're just gonna basically bring this all the way back out. And then what I did is, I think it was one full turn. So one full turn and then a half. That should be close to 280, 270, just give or take, you know. Just clean in some grease inside. Want to make sure that the inside O-ring here is greased. Easiest way to do that is just to push grease inside of it. And then you can use a pick set if you'd like to spread it. I'm just trying to get it equally in the bottom and the top. All right. That's well greased. Then we'll get this top hat. Again, there is inside of the top hat as well. Just want to make sure all of these are greased because these are dynamic. They do have pieces that are sliding in and out of it. Then what I'm gonna do is go for the top hat first. My piston. Place my piston inside of the housing first, get it seated all the way down. Place the spring back in, and take this upside down. Place it inside. Make sure the threads, you do have to apply some pressure. Make sure the threads line up, and then you can screw it down. And there's going to be some pressure because of the spring. So what I like to do is once I get it tightened, just like die, give it a little ugga-dugga with the hand and the wrench, and you're all set. And then you're just going to take that, place it back in. It should slide very easily, little to or no resistance. And then you should be able to get it right back up onto the housing for the air. And then you're just going to put the screws back in. Again, the screws that hold the ASA are going to be for the red wrench. Couldn't tell you what size it is, to be honest, because I'm just not looking, but it's the red one. Careful about using the ball ends because they don't always seat properly, and then you can either strip the screw or the threads. Now, before cranking it down, I do like to get both in and seated as close to in as possible. I'm just gonna get them flush on each side. And then I will rotate, that is tight. That's tight. It's kind of like a car wheel. I will say, I think Planet's bottom ASA is more secure than this. That's going to be your ASA maintenance. And then moving along from that, you're going to be removing this screw at the top back of the body. And that's going to start removing the trigger frame. There is additionally one other screw. I haven't really figured out what the best way to start, if it's this one or the one underneath the frame. I kind of like starting with this one first, and I'll tell you why. because of the frame pins, the trigger pins, or the board pins, the connector pins, whatever you want to call them. When you disassemble the marker from the other direction, the grip frame or the trigger frame just kind of drops off of the, which, great. But I'm always afraid that if I'm holding it at a weird angle, it's just going to take one of those pins with it in a weird angle. So I'm always afraid that when it's sliding off, it's just gonna bend one of those pins. So now at this point in time, the frame is loose. So what I like to do is just take it and then lightly pull up, just straight directly up. And the only reason I'm doing that, again, is just to be as careful with these pin connectors as I possibly can be. Gross. Don't know what that's coming from, but I'm sure we'll find out. To remove the body board with the eyes stalks are right here. You have to slide this pin or this connection point up. I try not to push down while I'm doing that. Then you just grab this, pull up, and then slide out. Here are your eyes. And your eye towers generally stay in there. They may sometimes come away with your gun. You can pull the eye towers out to clean them now. I do still have my tack in. Come on. There we go. Now both my eye towers out. Tack I can remove, although there's no maintenance with this, and I've already cleaned it. So I'm gonna leave my tack in. I'm gonna move the body backwards, just bring that more in range. And then, let's see, where are we gonna go from here? Into the trigger. All right, one of my least favorite parts about disassembling this gun is working on the solenoid, and that's because of this cable. I don't like taking this apart. I don't like how this is maneuvered in, and I try to be as delicate as I possibly can with it. Just unfortunately, it's not in a good position, and it's super, 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 super tight. Legitimately my least favorite part about this. I need the stronger pick with stronger leverage, because it just, man, honestly, it's probably my least favorite part about disassembling this is the way that this is positioned. push the pin out. That to the side. Now your solenoid is free. So be very, very careful when you are lifting the wires. Sorry for covering this. I'm just trying to be very gentle. Okay. All right. Now let's start with the solenoid. This is disgusting. What is going on here? Like, why is this degrading like this? All right, let's start breaking this down. Need my screwdriver? All right. I'm going to start by taking the pilot off. Now these screws are not super deep. They are relatively shallow. There is, again, to not lose these screws, I'm going to just place them in my magnet tray. There's a very, very small gasket here. I do like to just lightly grease this. Not trying to gunk it up, but I am just trying to keep it fresh. All right, and then this is going to be multi-sided. So I'm gonna actually start with the side that I've yet to remove, because I honestly didn't even realize this was going to be a thing that I had to maintain, but I think there's a gasket in here. I assume the reason that this is here is because of the way that this part had to get milled out for the channels. So they needed to close up this wall once the holes were milled out in the directions that they needed, is my assumption. Yep, there's a gasket in there. And it's pretty dry. Again, this I'm going to do a very light coating. Not trying to gunk up any of these holes, to be honest. I just want these to be healthy. That's the biggest thing for me, is I just want them to be healthy. Honestly, I kind of want a little more on this. There we go. I'm just trying to fill around it. There we go. All right. And you're gonna want to mount this almost immediately. It's got really tiny screws. It's really annoying. So I would definitely start here. Because then once you're done with it, you're done with it. Just gonna get them all in. Not gonna crank any of them down. Just gonna make sure that they're all in, properly seated. And then I will do the same tightening process that I did for the others. Just to get a nice even seal and pressure. All right. And then start removing these screws. These are definitely shallow. Again, don't lose these screws. Put them on the white HK part. And there is an O-ring here. That apparently is coming off with this. Why are we stuck? Sorry for the movement on the camera again. Don't know why it's stuck. Just gonna wipe that clean. Some kind of a mark there on that surface. Never noticed that before. Hopefully it's not causing an issue. No, I don't think that it is. And then for this, again, this is definitely a sealing surface, so just gonna make sure that this is lubricated, healthy. Just wanna make sure that everything is healthy. This is a sealing O-ring, so it's not dynamic. There's no movement on this. It is just sealing here in the solenoid. But it's sealing in two areas. Definitely want to make sure not to lose it. Try not to squeeze it. It's kind of a delicate, weirdly shaped O-ring. And you're just going to want to seat that back into its little home. All right. And same thing for this. I'm just gonna go by and just make sure that everything is greased. And now you can push the... God, this is just eating this O-ring. Good Lord. Is this O-ring just deteriorating? Fuck. Just trying to clean it out a little bit. I really need a Q-tip. Apologies for the lack of preparation. Just gonna get in there. Clean out all the gunk, whatever gunk I can. I'm assuming this is a very sharp lip, which is why it's gunking. We should get a healthy amount of grease on these. These are dynamic. because this does move back and forth. Stupid microfiber. All right. Go ahead and gently replace that back in. Go ahead and just place that back in. You're going to take gasket sealing side down. Just again, making sure that this is a nice healthy coating of grease on it. Don't lose the gasket, be careful. You're going to start going back. Again, I don't want to crank one side down because I'm looking for a nice even seal. The other thing to note with this is that half of it is going to get depressed prior to you placing the pilot back on. So it will be kind of seated on an up position. Try and wipe my hands off of the grease a little bit as I need more. This is going to be super, super, super light. I'm not trying to gunk this up at all. I'm just trying to make sure that this seal does not dry out. So very, 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 very little bit of grease on this. Just like that. Just a very tiny amount. Then you're gonna line this back up here. No, you're just gonna line up the holes. It does help if you look right there. The channel fits in with the other hole, air channel passageway. The other easy method is to do it with the screws already in place. That way they just slot in. Again, just be really delicate with these. Take your time, no need to rush. Make sure that they seat properly. Make sure they're not tilted or cross-threaded. Then again, I'm just gonna follow the same procedure. Just gently torque both sides. These don't have to be over tightened by any means. These are going very lightly hand tight. And go up here and tighten these down. And tighten these one more. All right. And then there is also, make sure you didn't, and then of course if you did, to replace this back in, the seal here. Honestly, it seems like it's very hard to lose, so mine is extraordinarily dry. Holy hell. Just gonna make sure to grease the hell out of this bad boy. Holy dry socket, Batman. Alright, just make sure that that's nice and greased, and then I'm going to place that back in so that it seats properly. And that's your sealing point. God, that is so dry. Wow, incredibly dry. I'm leaving a little bit of extra grease on that, to be honest. Now for one of my least favorite parts, which is placing this back inside. And it's really solely because of the way that this twists around. All right, so I'm going to feed the wires in and make sure that they seat down. And then gently slide. These wires are the absolute bane of my existence. So while feeding it through, kind of have to hook it, pull them over to your side so that you can clear the body. Oh, it pisses me off so much. All right. I'm going to just immediately pop this back into place. That's going the wrong direction, isn't it? Yep. Oh no, that's correct. Again, trying to be gentle and delicate with these wires, but man, they just, oh. Well, you definitely don't want to do that. Just trying to apply some light even. There we go. Jeez, I hate this. Hate the way that's designed, hate the way that's routed. Hopefully I didn't damage my board. If I did, buy a new one. Oh well. All right. Before we do that, here's the free flow switch. This sits there like a magnet. Oh, so that's the stop. That's the switch. Cool. Oh, probably just gonna take this out a little bit. Feels very loose. Feels like it's gonna back itself out. And then I think that the Allen wrench that they included is actually the size to adjust everything. Yeah, it is. Cool. And I'm gonna have to play with that. Anyway, this wasn't a trigger tuning guide. Let's go ahead and go back to the reassembly of bodyboard. Now what I like to do is stick my little eye towers in there. I do not think that these have a side. So left, right, I think they are exactly the same. I don't think that it matters what side that you put them on. Obviously, you want to make sure that they're inserted properly. I have also seen some people mount it directly to the board and then place it on that way. You're just going to take your board gently, and then again, careful. There's this body O-ring. You don't have to lube that. That's not a greased O-ring. It just holds the board in place. And slide this back through. And you're going to go right back into the eyes. And you're just going to slide that down. I like to give it a little depression there. Depression, like everyone has. You see the two channels, you can see the teeth. So you're going to put that side up facing you. Then you're just going to line it into the channel. Yep. I don't like to push down on this, so give me a second. There we go. All right, now your board is secure. Then you can go ahead and remount the grip frame. Now, you can do this a number of different ways. You can start from the back and line it up that way. I find that it shifts right into position for the pins to go in. Then everything just connects. Then while you have it in this position, I will start back here so that I'm not flipping the gun over with the pins. I'm just going to get this screw seated. And it goes together very smoothly. There's no, like, nothing is forced. It just pops in and pops out. There's no pressure, tension, nothing. It is such a loose fitting connection where it just drops right out. So the weight of the trigger frame pulls it right out from under those pins. So there's no real grasp or tension that you should feel while you're doing that. We get them tight but not cranked. And then once you get them both tight, start cranking them down a little bit. That one is tight to the body now. Tight to the body. I'm gonna give this an extra ugga-dugga. This one an extra ugga-dugga. All right. Oh, I like how that's immediately better. All right, and then we're just gonna go, I'm gonna place actually, I'm gonna wait on that because it still needs to be greased. So I'm gonna place the grips back on. Again, you're just gonna make sure to get all these tabs in place, kind of doing both at the same time, but you can just do one each. Then make sure that's locked in the channels, just check all your tabs. It's good. Gonna pop my batteries back in, test the electronics. Yeah, make sure the gun turns on, power is on, your eyes are good, functioning, you have no eye faults. Power's on, eyes off. Solenoid is firing. All right, and then the last thing that we're going to do, like I said, this is what I saved to be the last. when I'm placing the drive back in is just getting all of the outside can O-rings lubed, or the outside drive O-rings lubed. I'm going to hit them all at the same time, and then and there's so many. I start from the back and then I just work my way up. I don't think it matters. Doesn't matter the way you do it. This is just the way that I do it, just because as I'm sealing everything, you know, this gets greasy and then it's hard to rotate the can. I try not to fill up the portholes with grease, just the ring grooves themselves. Last but not least, all right, and back into the gun it goes. Now I am going to test to see if it seals. So what we got. So we have full seal, no leaks. It is the free flow bolt. And that's your full maintenance of a Dye MXR. If you guys have any specific questions, or if there's anything that you think I might have missed, please feel free to let me know. Happy to help or answer any other additional questions in any way. I do apologize for the length, but I just wanted to make sure that this was an in-depth breakdown. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.